Hey, 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 it's the Mom Cafe, and this is your host, Ty Spikes. And I am here on this podcast with the beautiful, the wonderful Tanya Jones. Hey, Tanya.
Wonderful to see you.
She is like a friend of the family, people. She has been in my life forever, okay? And so I just want to welcome you to the lovely Mom Cafe podcast. And my mug today is my Ray Dunn collection, my Mama Bear. I need some more of these because I love this mug. It holds a lot of drink. I love it. And of course, y'all know I got all these kids. So I'm truly a Mama Bear. But the beautiful thing about my guest is she got the same amount of kids as me. So like I get a lot of judgment when people hear me say, when they say, how many
Right.
kids you have? I have 6. Come again? What you say? 6. And then how many? And I have to keep repeating myself like they didn't hear and they can clearly hear. But with this lovely Tanya here, every time I had another one, she just like, yep, I know. So I have 6 kids, everybody. Tanya, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us your beautiful
Okay,
mug and
well,
tell us how many kids
I
you
know you're a
have.
coffee drinker. However, I can't do the coffee. So I have my very
Okay.
clear
Yeah,
of
no
tea.
judgment here.
It's a ginger peach tea, which is perfect for me today since it's kind of
Oh.
cold and wet outside. And I like this mug because when I steep my teas, I get a chance to just watch it come out of the, infuser, and I just kind of love that. It's transparent, and so yeah, I love it. I
You never
absolutely
steal one
love
of
it. It's kind
those.
of like a science thing for me or something. But and a little cream with it.
Yeah,
That's the only thing. The
cool.
vanilla coffee mate. That's the only thing I use in here. So that's my contribution to the. So that's what I do, and a little honey.
Oh,
So
I see.
that's what I do. But
Okay,
I am
we'll take it. Yes, we will.
technically of 5 kids.
Yummy, yummy, yummy.
I say 5 kids, but if I
Dang.
count my grandson, it would be 6. I always include him. He has a wonderful mother, which is my firstborn, but we always included him as one of our own. And so my 5 range from now 31.
Yeah. We're gonna tell y'all why in a minute.
Yeah,
We're gonna tell y'all why in a minute.
31. My oldest is 31. Down to my youngest, which is 12, and the middle 3, 24, soon to be 22, and 19. So that's where we are.
Y'all see that? All my fingers. I using them all up. And then we got one grandkid in which we got to use the other one. So Tanya has never judged me. Every time I said, here's another one, and another one, there was no judgment from her. Okay. And that is what I truly appreciate for my whole entire life. She was just like, really? Congratulations. That's what I got from her. When others was like, another one? Come on. Like, yeah. So all right, so let's get on in. Let's dive into this podcast. The title is Baby's Life After 40. Okay, Babies After 40. Woo! Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, though, we're kind of cheating just a little bit, just a smidge, because you weren't exactly 40 when you had your very last kid. So how old were you?
Let's see, my
from
birthday
40?
is in April. I gave birth in that prior year, before turning 40. So, yeah, right at 5-6 months.
That was like 6 months. Okay. So you were like the year
Exactly.
of life of 40.
Exactly.
Right? You just
and 39, finding myself
right.
pregnant again. My late spouse wanted one more child. And I was like, I said, what's going on with you? We don't need any more babies. Well, I still say no, because I was saying no And I said, absolutely not. Like, we'll talk about it in a year, knowing that I would be 40. And
Right.
why would you want to do that at 40? And I was already um, expecting.
Right. Right.
I
Absolutely.
didn't know it at the time. So he was talking about it, and I was already, that seed was already growing. Yeah, I need to. And so when we
Mm,
found out, um,
wow. So you guys were
mhm,
planning a baby at
yeah,
39
exactly.
and it was
So
already done.
I found out I was pregnant.
Wow. Yeah.
Of course, he was elated, and I was like, "Well, wow, okay, Lord. Apparently, you wanted me to have this baby." I was like,
How?
yeah,
It's like he just spoke it. I'm just, you know how people, there's jokes about like, oh, I sneezed and he got me pregnant, or we kissed. He just
I
spoke it.
was like,
I
I
want to
said,
get you
really, Lord?
pregnant, girl, and bam,
So,
it was done.
yeah,
That's it. He was that
he,
smooth, y'all. It was
I
just the
was,
words.
yeah, grabbed my
God said, "Gotcha, bro."
really. I said, okay, Lord, whatever. So,
Right, right.
oh,
So it wasn't as much as a shock, is
yeah,
what you're saying. It
okay,
was like, oh,
yeah.
okay,
So I,
oh, okay, Lord, you got
as you
jokes,
and the
but
Lord
okay,
had a
I'll take the ride.
discussion, y'all wasn't paying attention to me. I think this one is gonna be a boy. And he was like, no, no, because he thought, well, I
Oh, so you
told him it
wanted a
would be a
boy?
boy. He thought we would go in our little birth order because we have girl, boy, girl, boy. And so he thought this last one would be a girl. And I said, well, since y'all want to have your little
Okay,
sidebar conversations, you and Jesus, I said, I
okay.
think it's going to be a boy. In fact, I know it's going to be a boy. Why not? Sure enough, we went through the
Bing,
pregnancy. Yeah, at least
bow.
that
You
had to
had
say
your
so.
turn, okay, and now
It's,
it's mine.
yes, he was born. We didn't know
Right.
what he would be, and it was a little boy. So that's our
Oh,
wonderful.
wow. So you went all 9 months
Exactly.
the old
I
school
just
way
knew
and did not find out
Lord,
what he was. Wow. Did you
just
do
for
that for
that,
all your kids, or did you
just for
do
that.
that just for this one?
And the other second one, he wouldn't let me
Wow.
see what he
Wow.
was at all. They tried everything, so I had a funny feeling it would be a boy. But of course, yeah, they could never tell me what he was, so he was a little bit of a surprise too. But everyone, yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, that
Wow. Okay. So what's the age gap? Because I know you said the ages, but you know it truly well. But what is the age gap between
uh
your
technically
oldest and
speaking,
your youngest?
since she is 31, he will be 13, so it's 18 years. Yeah, 18-year.
Wow. Wow. So you
Mm-hmm.
had practically a
Yes.
high school graduate, like
Right.
definitely graduating from high school. Like this is your very first
Yeah.
one, and she's
Mm,
completely done with life when it comes to like schooling, that's forceful schooling,
exactly.
and
Totally.
you get pregnant, you start over. So what was that? Was it any of that? Was it any of like, we just raised
Uh,
the first one was
it was
raised
all of that.
and now we're
I think
starting over?
what really kind of hit me was, my youngest at the time, he was able to dress himself, do for himself, um, and then here we go with
Yes.
a newborn. And so, it was that
So what you said, he was able to dress himself.
he
So he
was
was about
7
5'6", or was he
because
more
it's
like, you know?
yeah, he was a good age. Yeah, he was
Oh,
able
he
to
was a
dress
good age.
himself and, do for himself.
He was
And so, 10-year old who will soon be
yeah,
20.
like
And yeah, so
good
it's a
for
7-year
yourself.
gap
Yeah.
because the youngest will be 13 this year. So yeah, it was a 7-year gap. Yeah. Well,
Wow. Wow. I'm okay. So wow. All right. So let's get into it. So wow. So tell me, like knowing that, and you turn 40 right after. So literally, you were still technically in the newborn age
Well,
of having a baby. Like, how was that? Because your first one is 18 years,
yes.
right? So your first one, you were very young in your 20s. So you feel like that you are, well, the fact that you have experience, but do you feel like, what's the difference between when you were very young
Well, the major
and
difference
now?
was, you know, I knew I had the experience as far as being a mom of four, but you're looking for that other side of, okay, I'm done. Um, and so when you got that at 39,
Right.
you're still uh, at a high risk pregnancy. So I had a lot of fear when it came to that. And right off the
Yep.
bat, it was already complications when I found expecting. Um, so it was
Mm.
kind of
Because
exactly.
you were in your early
It's
30s for the one before that.
right. High,
And so you weren't really
right.
considered
Exactly.
geriatric, is what I heard it was
Right.
called. Um,
Right. And
but for this
anytime
one,
you're after I
automatically you're at risk.
35, 36, they're already putting you in that
Yeah.
category of high risk. And so, to be 39, that's the scary
Right.
part
Yeah.
because there are other complications that's coming with that. I had some
Yeah.
complications with my other pregnancies, but this one, you're 39 years old. What could go wrong? Um, and you're looking for that. Yes, you're
Right.
you're
Your body
different.
is
You feel
different.
everything. And if I
Yeah.
may say, after having him, I felt a lot more afterbirth effects than I did when I was pregnant with him. I that I would feel.
Mm.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. So
wow.
it
In your
was
body,
like
just in your
I
physical
think I
body.
was in tears, when they told me I was expecting, and I was just like a deer in the headlights. Like, okay, what we gonna do now? So nobody prepared me for that. There's no manual.
Right. Like
Exactly.
once it happens, like it's like you gotta finish. You gotta get to
Exactly.
the finish line
Exactly.
some way or the other. Right. Yeah. And I too, I have to have experienced
Yeah.
geriatric. That word
Yes.
came out of doctor's mouth, and I was like, real? Because mine was only 2 years apart. So I had one 33, and then, but
Right.
like 33, I was fine. Age of Jesus, I was good. But then
Exactly.
as soon as I turned geriatric, I didn't understand, but it's very true. But I'm with you, like those thoughts go in your head, like all these extra risks that go into a high risk pregnancy
Yes.
and all that mojo that they put in your head. That's kind of scary. And it's like, okay, so riddle me this, because most people don't, well, no one knows this, but I do. You have
Yes.
twins in your family, you had twin sisters. And then, when it comes to older we get, we're more
It did
likely
run
to
through my
have twins.
brain.
Did that ever
Um,
run through your brain?
I was, I think with my sisters, um, it was right off the bat that they did see that my mom was going to have twins. Um, but for me, I was like I said, well, where is it in our
Okay.
generation? Because we haven't had twins yet. After my mom. So yeah, that was a major issue
Mm-hmm.
for me. Can you just
Okay.
imagine? So I didn't know which way that was gonna go either.
Oh.
And sometime later in pregnancy, they can find a twin later. They find them, you know, after the third or fourth month, there's a baby there
Yeah.
that you weren't expecting. So I was on a little bit of pins and needles for a little bit.
Right. Well, let's get into it though, because in
Yes.
actuality, you did have twins, but you had twins in
I
a
think
different way. Let me
I
sip
think
about that. So tell the audience,
yes.
how
So
did you have twins?
after
Talk
I had
about
my
it,
baby,
child. Don't tell me, because I'm gonna just let y'all know I don't know this full story. I never sat down to listen
now
to it,
I
but
will
I'm
say
ready for it,
this:
y'all. Just sit back and listen.
we
Here
had
we
our
go.
baby, and everyone in the house was like, "Wow, we have a baby." Well, fast forward, that was in the fall.
Yay!
Well, I found out later on that we were going to be grandparents. Um, I'm like, okay. So at the
Yes.
time, we're thinking, oh, well, we have a little bit of time and so to go. And it turned out uh, that I became a grandmother uh, actually 3 days before my 40th.
Oh my, let me
So
sip. I gotta sip it.
we
Mm.
became grandparents. My son was right at 5 months um, when my grandson was born. So in actuality, they're the same age uh, for part of the year. Yeah. So
Yes,
yeah.
they are. Yes.
So
Half the year, your son and your
hey,
grandson
yeah,
are the
yeah,
same age. So twins. So they're twins, people. Okay.
yeah.
And the craziest
They,
part that they look
and
like
it's
they
the
can be
funniest
twins.
thing,
They look like brothers. That's the
my
craziest part.
sisters are actually fraternal twins, and so they could be fraternal twins.
Hmm.
Twins came and visited our family in
Absolutely.
that way. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, tell me because your daughter was young, and actually, I don't know, was she around the
Not
same
quite.
age
She
that you
was
had her?
19. I was we were so 20. I was 20
Okay.
when I had her, and then right after that I turned 21. So uh yeah, I, yeah, she was
Okay.
19.
But you
So
were
we
20. You were 20 and she was
um
19.
and so yeah, it
Wow.
was,
Okay.
once again, deer in the headlight type of thing. And I, so we're gonna be grandparents, and so we literally have pictures of our son. When my grandson would cry, he would turn and kind of push that bottle in his mouth because he knew what he wanted. So literally, when they have their little spats and things like that, I
Wow.
always remind them. I said, y'all were literally in the crib together,
Wow.
literally. So don't forget that. So
Yeah,
so it was a
literally.
lot of, just really
Right.
a shock at one point. But my thing was, when I found out she was expecting and how long we had, um, to wait, I already knew. It's just in the gut. Um, she was due at one point, I think in
Wow.
May, but I said she's gonna have that baby around taxes, when the taxes are due. And sure enough, he came after tax day.
Sure enough.
I was like tripping, but yeah, he
Wow.
was
That's
a
amazing.
joy and just a blessing for him to come. And you're thinking, a lot of people had judgment. Of course, I had to hear that. How could you have a baby that late? Um, and
Yeah,
then you're looking at, oh, now you're a grandmother.
of
Y'all just
course.
having babies. And my thing is, you could either look at it one way or you can look at the positive thing in another. So, my grandson is an only child.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that
And
everyone
my
has
thing
something to
is,
say.
look, you don't know
Everyone has something to
why
say.
it
You
happens that
know?
way, but I know I love my grandson. I love my son, and God always have a plan. So at the end of the day,
Come on now.
my my
Yes, that's
my
it.
youngest
That's
and
it.
his technically nephew, um, it's a big gap. So him being an only child, and then have the one that's have a
Right.
big gap between him and his siblings, it kind of helped a little bit. So yeah, you it,
Yeah, I can imagine.
yeah.
I mean, them both being boys, them being so close. I remember,
Mhm.
like my kids are actually stair steps. All of mine are close together. My gap is 10 years between my oldest and my youngest, and I have four in between.
Yeah,
But for in your
it's
case, that 7 year gap, that's a big gap. So if you blink and that child is 7, the other child's 14.
Exactly.
It's just a lot of development that happened in between those years. So to have somebody, I think that was so important to me for my kids to have like someone in the house. So expound on the fact that your daughter, your oldest daughter, the one who had your grandson, she was still living in the home, I presume. And so now, not only are you 40 with one kid, but you're 40 with your grown
Mhm.
kid and her baby with the rest of your kids. So tell me what you say was like the most like craziest thing you think that you went through, other than the fact that what I just said. Because
Well,
kudos to you. Like, no matter what people say, because I know she said she had some haters and some naysayers. Baby, listen, this woman had a baby,
right.
turned 40, and had a grandson
Yes. Yeah.
and had other kids. I bow down to you, ma'am. I bow. So tell us what are some things that you kind of felt like, or was it all just like, okay, I know I have this baby, but now I need to support my daughter also because I know how to be young and have a baby as
I
well.
think the thing
Tell me some things that
more,
happened.
which I will say this, you have to learn to let your baby raise their baby and be an encouragement, to them,
Cool.
instead of saying what they're
Mm-hmm.
doing wrong all the time or that they're not capable. You have to make her feel that she's doing the right things, you
Mm-hmm.
know, with her being young, people being judgmental,
Right.
um, somewhere along the way, it have to be a safe haven at your house, and so the baby's here. We're not
Yeah.
taking him back. I'm not taking mine back. And so you're just having to, you embrace it. I know it was at one point overwhelming. I know for me, I had two babies
Right.
crying. Um, and it was kind of, just like I didn't picture
Mm.
this. Um, but I this the yeah, the biggest thing
Right.
is, that
But
makes you
here it
fall
is.
in love with your grandchild even more. I remember having to take him sometime because she needed some sleep. My mother at
Mm.
the time, she helped me with
Yeah.
raising my children, the ones prior to my youngest, and so she was just holding babies, and so I held my grand. That made me, fall in love even more
Oh.
with him. um and you see everyone's passing the baby
Yeah.
around, and he has, a aunt and uncles, and so we just, that dynamic, we had to
Yeah.
grow into it and understand that, hey, this has happened. And I want to say it in a way where this wasn't a tragedy, and it wasn't, like, oh my God, this is just awful for us, and the shame
Mm-hmm.
and stain on the, our name. My thing is, it's our grandchild. We're gonna move
Mm-hmm.
forward with this. This is what God has allowed to happen, and so it is what it is. And that little boy,
I
he's an
love it.
amazing kid. I have amazing kids, and at the end of the day, you just have to move forward. You embrace it, and you understand family is family, and that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Anyone says, that's what it is. Period. Point blank.
Mm.
Right.
I love it. Embrace it. Embrace it. So, with that said, there is somebody who just
Mm-hmm.
found out that they pregnant and they 39 years old. There's some mama out there. What would you say to her? Because we only battle what's in our mind, right? So you already know, and like you said, there are some things that you and your husband talked about, but you and yourself, you were the only one in that bathroom that's like, and all the things run to your head. For the woman that who's looked at that pregnancy test, who's 39 or 40 or
Yeah.
41, because it's faux pas, after
Mm-hmm.
40, even though I feel like it's more common these days. um, what would you say to that lady who either this is my first child because I've been trying forever, or this is my sixth child and oh my freaking god, like
I
what
would
is some
just tell
tidbit, some
her,
advice that you would
you
give to
know,
that lady?
things happen for a reason. Um, don't frown upon it, and don't let other people tell you how you should feel or how you should cover yourself. I remember someone told me, you 39, girl, that's kind of like y'all old, and what you gonna do? And my thing is the fact that my body is able to bring life again and be, to bring forth life, and
Come
this
on.
child is
Yeah.
gonna grow in me. Be proud of that. It's many women out there that's not. They're fighting just to have a
Yeah.
pregnancy stay. So when you're blessed, embrace it.
Yeah.
Live your best life. I mean, get the best looking pregnancy outfits. Those maternity outfits are really turned up this, I'm, I'm live
Yes. And they got some cute one
moment.
these days, y'all. It's a
Take it one
different
day at a
day.
time.
I mean,
Understand
yes.
that your body is your body. So, if you having some feelings and things like that, because sometimes you're going to feel a little bit more when you're older. For me, I had multiple pregnancies, so I felt a little bit more as well. I felt the first kick a little early, so on and so forth. But just allow
Mhm.
yourself to go through it,
Yeah.
all of those feelings. If you got to cry sometime, it's okay. It's okay. I think um, women are, especially
So,
in this, the things that are going on in this world right now, and our laws, there's a lot of fear when it comes to even being pregnant. Things can go wrong. We have the law that's telling us that we need to do with our body. Listen to your
yeah.
body,
Yeah.
embrace your experience, have the best baby shower that you want to have, because if it's your first one, it might be
Yes.
your last, who knows. Live your experience fully. Do it. Um,
Right.
but don't do it with fear. And even if you have a
Mhm.
little fear, just keep on moving. Keep on moving forward, because you're, that's something that kind of,
Yeah.
propels you and pushes you ahead. So, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Your body is able and capable. So just do what you need to do. Yeah.
I love it. And yeah, that stigma of geriatric pregnancy, that stigma of at risk, I never understood it because I was one of those people. Um, Man, like, how do you not be at risk at 34 and immediately at risk at 35 is crazy. But the biggest thing that stood out to me, Tonya, that you said, listen, people,
Yes.
babies after 40, embrace it. I love it. Embrace it at any age, but no matter when you have your child, you should be grateful for this opportunity to bring life into the world and simply embrace it. I am going to coin that.
Yes.
Love it, love it. Sip on that. Yes. Thank you, Tanya Jones. You are the bomb.com, and I am going to reach out to you again. She's going to come back, y'all, because you got a lot of kids, and why not? We got a lot of things to talk about. Thanks again, Tanya. Here's Sway. Spread love every day. I'll see you guys next week
Cheers.
on the Mom Cafe. Cheers.